Morning, everyone. Just gonna pause the recording while we wait for some people to join. Start the recording, chuck the captions on, and we're good to go. Perfect. All right. So I go back to my little thing and get underway. Today we're going to be looking at note taking in NVivo, essentially. We're going to look at a few different features that we have access to, memos, annotations, maps. I'm going to learn about a new one today as well, which is called a framework matrix, which is something that I learned about recently that I think is fantastic. We're going to learn about that in a little bit. We're going to learn that in between annotations and maps today. So in terms of sort of how we'll be spending the hour, we're going to be looking at a couple of the two different ways of writing memos in NVivo. They're these sort of documents that you write, which can be quite useful for a range of different research contexts. We're then going to look at how to write annotations, which are really good for making comments, structuring things with supervisors. We're going to have a look at framework matrices, which I haven't put on the slide deck, I apologize. And then if we have time, we'll look at maps at the end as well. Similar to the last 2 days. Any questions at all, just unmute, ask. There's no, with such a small group of us today, there's really no issues with anything like that. And as always, the session is recorded. If you need a copy of the recordings, they do take a little bit of time to process, but just send me an email and I can send them through. So we're going to start by looking at memos today. Memos are documents in NVivo that you create. They're kind of stored separately to where your files are stored. And there's two different types. There's memos that can be linked in a relationship to other items in your NVivo project. So you can link them to codes, you can link them to files, you can link them to cases, and they can be nice ways of storing extra information about them. And then there are unlinked memos, which are kind of documents that sit floating around in your project that are not necessarily linked to anything specifically. There are other features. There's a feature called See Also Links. I don't know if it's available on Mac. It hasn't been in previous times that I've taught, but See Also Links is something that you might also investigate because they're a little bit more specific and you can kind of link across your project, which is really cool. Now, what we've done so far in terms of the project that we have currently, like we've looked at codes, we've looked at cases, and we've thought about organizing our codes. And if we were to do that for a really long period of time, we would end up with a pretty substantial project. So what I want to look at today is ways of keeping track of information and research data throughout the life cycle of a project, looking at unlinked memos to create like a general README file for a project. You can also use them for things like field notes or research journals. And then looking at a linked memo for a code to track some of the changes of our thinking that we've had, writing down some annotations, having a little look at a framework matrix, and then creating some maps to see how different elements of our project fit together. And so I'll show you first how to create a memo. I'll show you how to do both types, and they're relatively straightforward. So if I move into NVivo and open up my training file that we've been working with so far, just make sure that everything's sort of loading. It can be a little bit slow every now and then. And this is just the same file that we've been working on for the whole sort of period of the training so far. What I'm going to do first is I'm going to create an unlinked memo, and then I'll show you how to link it, and then I'll show you how to show that you have linked a memo. All hoping that my NVivo does actually work correctly this morning and opens up my project file, because currently it seems to be really slow about it. So I might need to restart, which is fine. It can happen. And one of the things that kind of is eternally frustrating about NVivo is that it can be quite a cumbersome piece of software to use. Dear, come on. I've got an hour to teach. Nightmare. All right. I might just start it again and just hope that the next time it works a little bit better. All right, let's just end that and let's just start NVivo again.
While you're restarting, Alex, can I ask you again to?
Of course.
Yeah, because actually it's probably helpful because I was just finding an issue and like I got kind of lost what you were saying.
Perfect. Yeah, what's the problem? Or is there?
where to exactly where to find this memo thing.
Oh, yes, I will show you. Yep.
Yeah.
It's in the notes area. Oh my, I'm having absolutely no luck today. I just tried to start my project again and it's crashed. Oh dear. I'm going to pause the recording so that people don't have to waste their start the recording again. We're back. My NVivo is now working and I have the workspace so I can show you where memos are. So like I said, in this whole training course, we've been working from up here to down here. And today we're going to be working exclusively, well, not exclusively, we'll look at a bit of visualizations, but in this notes area. So if you click on this little arrow here, you can open up the notes area, and that's where you can find the memos section. And so if you click on that, you can see the little documents to keep track. They're kept separate from your source data files, which is really useful because in a lot of contexts, you don't always want everything in your research project to be in this kind of data area. And similarly to your files area, pretty much most areas in NVivo, you can create folders to keep things organized. I'm not going to do that today, but you could, for instance, have a folder that's just for field notes. You could have a folder that's just for a research journal, a folder for minutes from collaboration meetings or something like that. And all I'm going to be doing is in my memos area, I'm just going to be right clicking and creating a new memo. Now you can import them if you like. If you wanted to import your memos from Microsoft Word, you can do that. If you have a research journal that you keep there, you can import them. But I'm going to create one from scratch and I'm going to call this one a research journal. And it's always nice to keep these, and it's nice that you can keep them in NVivo as well. I'm going to create one and NVivo is going to open it for me on the right-hand side. And what we get here on the Windows version, we actually have two little contextual function tabs at the top. So we've got the sort of general memo one, but then we also have this edit area where we can add in some sort of basic formatting if we want. So research journal, and we can say that if we go to normal, it's a little bit temperamental sometimes with the formatting, but you can get the hang of it. It's my name, and then if we press Control-Shift-T, it'll put in the timestamp. And so you can timestamp different areas of your project if you like. But I'm just going to be using this, you can just start writing about things that are important to you. And you can say, on Tuesday, did this, Wednesday, did this, Thursday, had some very interesting thoughts. And you can write some, whatever you like in these things. And one of the things that's really important about memos that's worth kind of mentioning, depending on how you go about your project, is that you can code them if you like. Just desperately try and fix this Wednesday part. There we go. Perfect. You can code them. So if you turn off edit mode, you can then take, some of your writing. So say this was really interesting about connection and history, and I can code that if I want as well. So you can code stuff that's from your memos. Now this memo that I've created, it's just this document. It sits in this area and it's not linked to anything. It's just sort of floating there, which is fine for things like research journals or minutes or notes or things like that. But if you wanted to create a memo and link it to a specific project item, so for instance, it might be really nice to have a memo that is linked to our first research question so that we can start to write up potential answers to our research question or our reflections on how the research question has maybe evolved over time. One of the things I've noticed about my own work is that I think I've rewritten my research questions. They've got narrower and narrower and narrower and differently focused over the course of my PhD. So it might be nice to have a memo internal to NVivo that kind of tracks our thinking there. So to create a linked memo, we can right click on the thing that we want to link. We can scroll down to memo link and we can click link to new memo. And so this could be my sort of research question 1 reflections. And I can open that up and I can say, at this point in my writing, I don't think that these research questions are good enough. I think that I need to be more specific. I think that, case X shows that Y, and just generative writing. Now, I'm doing this writing. One of the things that I think is really important in qualitative work, and this is more of a broader methodological point, it's not an NVivo point, is that writing your results is really tricky sometimes. There's a big gulf I can find and I identify with researchers who have done all of their coding and then don't know how to start writing because it's a bit overwhelming. And one of the tips that I have, and kind of the way that a lot of today has been structured, is that if you can start to write throughout your analysis by using things like memos and annotations, which we'll look at later, it can give you a really nice, rich, sort of creative outlet that you can then integrate into the more formal writing of your dissertation, of your research papers, anything like that. I really like this feature. It's something I wish I used a bit more. I do keep my research journal external to OneNote, but part of me thinks that in the future, when I'm sort of starting from a bit more of a stronger foundation as a researcher, I will definitely be using memos a lot more. I think there's a lot of nice functionality there. Now, this memo is linked, but you wouldn't know it by looking at it, because if we go down to our memos area here, you can see it sits research question 1 reflections, and there's no indicator that this is actually linked to anything. To know that it's linked to something, you have to right click on it, and then you can open the linked item. But part of the reason why I like showing off linked memos is it allows me to show off a little bit of extra functionality in NVivo, which is that this interface here, where it's got research journal, codes, and references, this little interface on the left-hand side, you can customize it. And so if I right click on this area and I select list view, I think on the Mac it might be just customize. So I right click and I select list view and I go down to customize. I get this nice little window here, and I can choose what columns I actually want to have visible on this left-hand side. So I want to have memo link visible. You can have description if you want. You can have classification if you like. And you can choose the order that they show up in. And I like to have memo link nice and early because otherwise it can sometimes just get sort of hidden at the end of the screen. And if I click OK, I now have this little paperclip column, and this little paperclip tells me that it is linked. And if I mouse over the little paperclip, it'll actually tell me directly what it's linked to. And I can do exactly the same in my codes area as well. If I right click, list view, customize, I can pull over my memo link and I can pull this up. There's another really great sort of tip here that you can do, which is that if you are working with collaborative projects, or if you're working with codes that are very strictly defined. So in my work, I do critical discourse analysis. Knowing what constitutes an economic argument has been defined pretty rigorously by a few scholars. And so I will have that description in my project. If I move this description area over, then I can have that description readily available for me to be able to reference without needing to open things up. So if you're using a code book with lots of definitions and things like that, you can use the description area to fill that in. And then you can resize them as well if you like. So I can use this dragging thing to resize all of my different codes. What I'll do is I'll edit a code very quickly just to show you what that looks like, because I think it's worthwhile. If I put in a description for my questions, I say all the questions asked in the interview, and you can now see that I have that in my description area. And if you mouse over it, it'll expand it out. So you don't have to drag everything over all the time because it can be a little bit cumbersome. But if you mouse over it, you'll get the description. I just like showing that off as well. Like the main thing that I wanted to show off is memos, the fact that you can link them and unlink them, the fact that you can code them, which is really good for note taking, like things like field notes. You can integrate them into your analysis, but keep them separate from things like interviews and focus groups. But I also like showing off the fact that there is also this kind of list view feature. So I've done two things at once, which might be a bit confusing, but I think it's still interesting. What I'd like you to do, just to give me a little bit of time to refresh myself, is I would like you now to have a play around with these memos. I'd like you to try to create one, try to create an unlinked one in that memos area, try to link one. It's straightforward. If you right click on something you want to link a memo to and select, link to new memo, you can create that. Just have a play around with the functionality and engage with, editing, a bit of creative writing, these kinds of things. I'll give you a little bit of time to do that before I move on. I've given a few examples as well of what you can kind of use the memos for as well.
Can I try to, Alex, to
Yeah.
like talk through? So basically, the memo is really like a journal. Like it's the idea of creating a journal of your research, sort of reminder of what you are doing and what you are finding, and and the idea of coding your reflection is in case you are using a particular methodology where you also want to code your reflection, isn't it?
Yeah,
That's
I
the
mean it
idea.
yeah, so you don't so it depends on what you use memos for. So I'll talk about a few
Yeah,
use cases. So yes, if you're doing something like reflexive thematic analysis, being
yeah,
able to code your reflective writing and integrate that into parts of your analysis is going to be really important. But similarly, if you are doing a literature review or something in NVivo and you keep your notes, which is very common, you keep your notes for your review as memos. It's really nice to be able to code them as well because you might not be able to code the direct reference because you might be using a physical book, so there's no digital copy. So you write your notes in a memo, coding that, fantastic. Similarly, that you might use memos for supplemental documentation as well, um, bits and pieces that you know are worth including in parts of your research and things like that. So there's lots of different use cases for them. I tend to use them for reflective writing because I think that I do try to integrate reflexivity into a lot of the work that I do, and being able to kind of have that functionality is really useful. But you can use it for a range of other different contexts. Um, Now, Dana, your memo link button appears to be grayed out. Not entirely sure why. There's so many reasons why that could be the case. Um, I think just to kind of to link something, you want to make sure you've left clicked the thing that you want to link to. If you just right click somewhere in the memos area, you might not have that option. And so you want to click on the thing that you want to create a linked memo to, like connection in history. If you right click on that, then the memo link button shouldn't be grayed out. Um, Hopefully. In the memos area, the memo link area, I don't think there is one as well. Like it's just you can open the memo, you can open the linked item. So hopefully that's some useful guidance. If not, then we can do some screen sharing and try and resolve the problem because there's often it's a dozen different ways that you can run into these things in NVivo. So let me know how you go with that. Um, but yeah, hopefully if you have something selected, right click, it shouldn't be grayed out. If it is, yep, all good, perfect. Ah, yes, from the text itself. I think one of the things you can do in the text is you can see also link. I'm not sure how that works. Don't worry about it. Overcomplicating things. Does anyone else have any questions?
Yeah, I've got a question, Alex. The edit space for the memo.
Mhm.
So you were able to do some formatting and put a timestamp in. Where's that?
Timestamping is not a button. It is a hotkey, which is really annoying because I think it's actually quite common. And the hotkey is Control plus Shift plus T. We'll put a timestamp in. I think it's put Control Shift T. They're good to put in straight away because they tend to go like quite early on in the text.
Yeah.
And they'll go like at the top of it. So you can Control Shift T and say, okay, today I did this and it was fantastic. And then I think if you go down and do it again, it'll still just show up at the top of the thing. So it's a bit of a pain. Like you have to kind of like cut and paste it. And importantly, with the timestamps as well, they're not like set in stone. So they're still editable. So like I could go and delete parts of it if I wanted to and change it. So I wouldn't use it as any kind of like formal measure of time, but it can be a nice sort of extra bit of features that you have. The other editing things that you have that are in this edit tab, you've got your headings and your styles and things like that. You can put in tables. There's a bit of spell check, a few kind of like relatively rudimentary features, and
Yeah.
you can, if you think that it's a bit cumbersome to use, you can import a memo from anything else, and it supports text, Doc, docx, or rich text files. So you can work on them in Microsoft Word for the day if you like, and then at the end of the day, import them into NVivo, if that's a bit easier of a workflow.
Alex, can I also ask, is the principle generally, because I'm from biology, I don't do qualitative research. Is the principle that a memo is really small, so quite granular, and then you're not adding extensively to it, but you're making the connections instead?
Oh, I mean, I think they're pretty flexible. I wouldn't, I think it would vary depending on use case. If I had a memo that's the reflections that I've had over the course of my PhD or my research question 1, it would be quite long. I could imagine if I'm sort of filling it in every day. If I'm writing a research journal in NVivo every day, that's several hundred entries. That could be quite long. So you might want to break it up in, by year or something like that. It varies. Yeah, I mean, there's no, because they're stored separately, they don't really have a huge impact on the overall project in terms of capacity or anything like that, and they're text files, so they're not very big. So yeah, I would say sort of both. Yeah, and any and all cases.
That helps. That
Yeah.
actually really helps to hear the different ways you can do it. Thanks for that.
Yeah, brilliant. How are people going? Would people like me to press onwards with some extra features, or would you like a little bit of time to keep playing around with this? I'll take your silence as an indication we can move on. Let's give that a go. And if you want to, oh, yep, thumbs up. Thank you very much. All right. So the next thing that I want to show off today are annotations. And annotations are something that is like super straightforward. It's not going to take a lot of time for me to show, but they're really useful to know about. It's basically the comments feature that you have in any Microsoft product now, like Microsoft Word. You can comment, leave comments, and things like that. NVivo has its own thing built in, but there's a couple of intricacies to be aware of, and I'll talk about what I use them for, and then hopefully you can see why I think that they're actually quite useful and maybe slept on as a bit of a feature. So, and I've used them quite a bit in my own research, and I've used them in quite practical circumstances. So if I go back to my copy of NVivo, all an annotation is just a note that you leave, but it's different to a memo. So what you want to do is you want to open up an interview file that we have previously worked on. And one of, we might have this section from Barbara here. I'm going to select some text, and I'm going to look at this thing here, this sentence here. At that time, I thought I'd like to have kids, and I wanted to raise them in a place that had this strong community that I enjoyed growing up. And I'm going to right click on that, and I'm going to create a new annotation, and it's going to show up in the bottom here, and you can write something. Now, what do you write? There's so many things, but here are the 3 things that I really like to write about with my annotations. The first one is situational, which is that when you conduct interviews, there's often a lot of extraneous factors, like external factors that can crop up whenever you're interviewing someone. So in a Zoom call, you might have connection issues for a little bit. If you're in person, the people you're interviewing might have children, and they might sort of interfere with some of the results by walking into the room and sort of demanding a bit of attention or something like that, or maybe something happens. And so one of the things you can write an annotation on is just on external factors. You say at this point, Barbara's dog walked into the room and did a bit of a sniff. And you can write something like that. All right, it's a nice way of tracking that. That might not be internal to the text. You can have that in NVivo. And once you've created an annotation, it pretty much sort of shows itself there. Even if you turn off at the top here, the annotations window, which is down here, you'll almost always be able to see where you've left an annotation, which is really useful. It's a very clear reminder of what you've done. And so you'll always be able to return to that. And if you double click on them, you can edit them. So the first thing you do is for external factors. I don't tend to do that because I work with social media data, I work with speeches. So there's not a whole heap of that kind of stuff that I actually need to write down. However, what I do use it for is for supervision meetings and generative writing. So for this one, you could use a bit of theoretical development. Like I could start writing. I'm not sure what I want to code this as yet, but I want to say, look, like there's bits of community here. There's family. There's forward thinking. There's a really interesting narrative which ties together Barbara's past and her future in the community, and that's really meaningful. It's a meaningful quote that you can pull out from this, and it's worth, with your meaningful quotes, the ones that you're going to be sort of using quite a lot in your work, to just pull out, like why you think they're meaningful, and use this as an opportunity when you encounter them to write something reflective about it, to just say like, okay, what do I think is going on here? The other thing, and this is, so I use that feature. I really like that feature. The main thing that I use it for, though, is on collaborative projects, and I'll show you why. So if I say, look, I don't really know what to code this as, I'm thinking either community or family or both? Question mark, question mark, question mark. Leave that. Now, if I go to my annotations area in my notes, so I've got memos, framework matrices, which we're about to look at, and I've got annotations. If I click on my annotations area, it gives me a list of my annotations. So I could, if I just sort of left a bunch of annotations, I'm not going to fill them in, but if I just go and right click, I create a bunch of annotations. You can see that it numbers them, and that I then have these annotations here. Go into a supervision meeting, go into a collaboration meeting, and instead of having to sift through your project and find all of the areas that you need guidance on, you use this little menu here and you say, okay, hello, my supervisor's name's Mark. Hey, Mark, thanks for meeting. I want to work through the project today. This is the first problem that I've run into. So it's this quote, it's in Barbara's interview. Here is the exact quote. I don't know what to code it as. We have a chat. Guidance, supervision, job done. Fantastic. Then I move on to my next annotation. All right, here's another problem that I've identified. And you can, and because they're numbered, you can say, you're going to keep your annotations. So you can say, today I want to cover, annotations 10 through to 20 or something like that. I've used this all the time. I still use this. I love this feature. I think it is just a really elegant way of troubleshooting, because in the pandemic, I have had so many really boring Zoom meetings. I've had so many meetings where people show me stuff and it takes them 10 minutes to find what it is that they wanted to show me, because their project has, 50 different interviews in it, or it's a survey with thousands of responses and they don't know what they want to show me. Leave an annotation. Just leave one. It's in this nice clean structure here, and then you can just double click on it and open it up, and it's good to go. It's a fantastic feature solely for that. One caveat, and people always ask about this, and people always try to prove me wrong, but you can't do it. If I were to take this text here, you can't code it. You can't code an annotation. You don't need to. If you ever needed to code something like this, you could just leave it as a memo, code it in the memo. You could even edit a document if you really wanted to code something that was an annotation. But you cannot use this interface down here, this annotations interface. Can't code anything that you write there. Don't try to. You can't do it. It's okay. Life will be fine without this feature. That's annotations. I really like them. What I'd like you to do for a few minutes, again, so we can ask any questions that we might have, is to just have a play around with them. Select some text, right click, and create some annotations in your project. See how they work. Go to that annotations area on the left-hand side, have a little look at how they're structured, think about how you could use them in different meetings, in different circumstances. Big fan. I am annotations #1 fan in NVivo. You can cite me on that. That's going on YouTube. People will know that about me. Does anyone have any questions? Feeling pretty good.
And this annotation, sorry, Alex, this annotation will come if you, exactly for the collaboration thing that you were mentioning. If I then pass my project to someone else, they can just, they will, of course, the annotation will remain, and they can just pass on, respond to them like you would do in Word or something, is it?
Yeah, so that's a really good point. So one of the things you can't do though, which is I think it would be a really nice feature, you can't directly respond to them as in like I can't comment on this annotation here. So if I wrote, Alex, I want you to do this, I can't then like reply to that separately. But what they can do, and this is something you'd want to talk to them about, is just say, okay, well then they can just add their own bit. So maybe you just develop a standard where it says Francesca, you put a timestamp in, and you say, I have thought about this. It's just question, something like that. But you can't sort of, it's a good point. It doesn't have the same thing that Microsoft Word has, where you can have essentially a thread of discussion. You don't get access to that. It's just a single sort of block. So you can find ways to structure it that suits your purposes.
And the timestamp that you just added, is it that the Control T that you were just mentioning?
Yeah.
Right, thank you.
Interestingly, if you right click, there's also an insert one as well. So you can
okay.
right click in this area and insert it as well. Cool. All right. I'll give you a little bit more time for that, and then I'll move on and show you framework matrices because I think they're really cool. But I'll give you a few more minutes. And that's entirely because the cat that I'm looking after has started running up and down the windowsill. And she's being really, really cute about it. Now she's stretching against the wall. Fantastic.
I have a question, Alex.
Yay.
What comes after the annotations in terms of the workflow? So you've had your discussion, you've decided what to do about it. Is it usually like more coding or more relationships, more cases going back to what you had previously done, or going forward somewhere else?
Usually going and doing some different coding, I would imagine. Again, hard to universally answer that question because some of it might lead to some more advanced features. So some of it, you might leave an annotation that then prompts an exploration of some of NVivo's more advanced features, like a query or a visualization. Generally, in my experience, the workflow has been a return to coding because that is 90% of what you're going to be doing in NVivo. So most of the time, the annotations that I write are about this certain code, expanding it, contracting it, thinking about what makes it meaningful, starting to sort of synthesize my codes together into a thematic framework. That's usually what my annotations are about. But I think sometimes I think on a few projects, there have been some that I've left which were a bit more sort of advanced in terms of, oh, this makes me think, could I run a query that explores this, or should I run a query that explores this, or something like that. So it's sort of hard to answer, but there's a few, lots of different use cases for them.
Thanks.
Perfect. All right, I'm going to move on now, and I'm going to talk about framework matrices. And I don't have slides for this because instead of working on my slide deck this morning, and this is going to go in the recording, I don't mind. I went to a bakery, and then I went to a cafe and had chili scrambled eggs with goat's cheese and parmesan on sourdough. And it was delicious, and I regret absolutely nothing because I think framework matrices are so cool, and I regret not being able to explain them in a slide deck, but I think they're wonderful. And I think they're very self-evident how wonderful they are. So a framework matrix sits in NVivo in between the memos and annotations. It is the filling of the memos and annotations sandwich. They're tables that allow you to concisely summarize your data, and they work in a very specific way. Now, if it doesn't work in exactly the way that you were hoping, don't worry, because next week in part 4, we're going to look at something that does like a very, very similar thing. But framework matrices have one added piece of functionality that I'll talk about. And the reason I want to talk about them is that for years, I have been asked by researchers how they share their preliminary findings or their coding with their supervisor in a way that the supervisor finds engaging and understandable. And this is the way that I think is the most appropriate for this. It's a really engaging visual that I think pretty comprehensively addresses what supervisors are after. Now, unfortunately, what a framework matrix requires is it requires you to have used cases and it requires you to have used codes. And so all I'm going to do just to sort of prepare for this is I'm just going to take a few of Barbara's quotes and I'm just going to chuck them into the relevant areas just so that I have a few areas that are going to show up in this framework matrix that I'm creating. You can do the same thing. It doesn't have to be accurate. You just want to make sure that you have at least some files and references in some of your codes, and you want to make sure that you have a couple of cases that have also been coded. This is where sort of preliminary structure is really important. So those are the two prerequisites. So make sure that you've done that. And I'll give you some time to do that in a little bit. But then what we can do is we can navigate to our framework matrix area on the left-hand side here. And we can right click and we can create a new framework matrix. And for me, I'm going to call this one like research question 1. And it's going to be all of the themes that are relevant to my first research question. You can give it a description. We're going to go to rows, and then we have to select our cases. So I'm going to be selecting Barbara, and I'm going to be selecting Dorothy. You select whichever cases are relevant. If you need to just create a case for your files, this is also totally fine. Like if you look at this framework matrix and you think this is fantastic, I want to have this in my project, but I don't have cases because I'm not working with anything that would use cases, just take a file, code the whole thing as a case, and you'll have access to this functionality. So you can do that as well. If it's purely organizational, it's not illegal to do that. The NVivo police will not arrest you. They won't take your license away. If you need to do that, you can. You get a little advanced thing where you can select certain attributes to sort them by. This is great if you have a lot of survey data or a lot of interviews with lots of interesting case attributes, and you wanted to say have all of the male respondents first, sort through that, and then all of the female respondents. But I'm not going to show you that now because I think that is going to overcomplicate what I think is a relatively straightforward visualization. So we've created a name for it. We've selected some cases, and then we need to select some theme codes for our columns. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to click on this little plus, and I'm going to take both of my research question 1 responses. So immigration and emigration, overfishing in the region. And I'm going to click OK. And then once I've got all of that, I'm going to click OK at the bottom here, and it's going to create my framework matrix. It can take a little bit of time to do, and sometimes it'll create it in a certain way. So first things first, when it creates, and sometimes it will create it a little bit differently, but currently what I have is a super blank area, right? Not particularly useful. Just a big blank set of a spreadsheet. You can write in these cells. So you can write here, and that's going to be important later. But what we want to do is we want to click in this framework matrix area. We want to click the auto summarize button. And what that button is going to do is that is going to take all of the text that is coded to Barbara and that is also coded to immigration and emigration, and it is going to display it in this box. And likewise for all of the other cells as well. So I'm going to click auto summarize, and it tracks my project there. And what I have now, and it's sort of a bit of a shame because I didn't really code anything for Dorothy, is I now have all of Barbara's quotes about immigration and emigration here, and then I have all of her quotes about overfishing in the region separated by, lines and things like that. And if you really want to, you can also do some writing here. And when you're doing this writing as well, what's really cool is that on the right-hand side, what you have open here is Barbara's case. And so you have Barbara's case open, so you can sort of reflect on this. You can get a sense for sort of the broader narrative that Barbara is saying. And so you can do a bit more writing there as well. This is excellent. I just had a check in the chat. So it said, wow, in all caps with an exclamation mark. I agree. I didn't know about this feature for years. I love it. It's really, really good. You do have to have cases set up and you do have to have your codes, but you then have this and it's fantastic. And it's even better because if you right click on it, you can export this matrix as an Excel file and you can send that Excel file to your supervisor. And you can say, look, here is all of the coding that I've done related to my first research question. I've got quotes in there. I've also got some of my own writing. What do you think? And they can let you know without having to access NVivo, without having to know anything technical about it. They can look at this and understand what you've coded and say, ah, yes, I agree. I think this should be coded to your immigration and immigration code. They can check that. They can make sure that you're on progress. I've been fielding questions on this for years, and I just never even thought that this existed. The reason why I didn't think it existed was the first time I used it, it created a blank spreadsheet. I didn't know about the auto summarize feature, so I thought it was a bit useless. And next week, we're also going to look at matrix coding. And I thought matrix coding and framework matrices were the same thing. That was embarrassing. I probably could have saved myself a lot of time by knowing about this a lot earlier, but I think it's excellent. And what I'd like you to do now is just spend a little bit of time playing around with it yourself. Make sure you've got cases set up, make sure you've done some coding, and just play around with it, see how it works for you. Try and export and summarize the results and all of that stuff, and let me know how you go. If you have any questions about it, do feel free to ask. And yeah, I'll just give you some time to play around with it because I think it's fantastic.
Alex, the little bit where you added some writing, did that appear on the left-hand side as well? On the right-hand side panel as well?
No, it won't appear on the right-hand side panel. So the right panel in the framework matrix is just the case. So it's just the case file. And the writing is only appearing in the spreadsheet. Yes.
So if you needed to get it to add it to the case for some reason,
yeah,
you're actually, what do you do?
So if you wanted to add some writing to the case, what you would need to do is you need to go to Barbara's interview and you need to click edit. And then you would need to sort of find the area where you want to add some text and add some more text. And then you would close the edit thing, select the text that you've added, and then code it to Barbara's case. That's how you would do it.
Okay, thank you. I was thinking of an application which involves linking data potentially to
It depends.
like, you know, you get a new piece of information from somewhere and you're popping it in that matrix because that's where it fits, but where it might go later on, and it's a big question, so don't worry about it. Thank you.
Yeah, what I would say is cases could apply across different files. So if you had like your first interview with someone and then maybe you had some supplementary like email communication, you could have that as a separate file and code the data in that file to Barbara's case as well if you needed to. So cases can be operative across multiple different files, which is really useful. And then one of the other things that you might want to investigate, I don't do a whole lot of them, but there's also the See Also link. So if you go down to links, there's a See Also link and you can add it and you can link it to an existing item in your project or a new item. That's something
amazing.
It's kind of worth looking at that as well. They're a little bit temperamental. So, I mean, if I sort of link this, if I link Barbara's interview to like Charles's interview or whatever, and click OK, you get a nice little link here. And it shows you sort of that kind of stuff. They're pretty powerful. I don't look at them in a whole lot of detail, but some people really enjoy them. So they're kind of good to know about as well if you need a bit more specificity there. Yeah, cool. All right. I'll give you a few more minutes and then I'll push on to show you a little bit about maps before we wrap up today. If we have time. Oh, do we have time? 10:50. I don't know that we do. I might push the map stuff because they're not super important. I might push that to part 5 next week because I normally run out of time.
Alex, just one other question, sorry. Like in the framework matrix, I understand that, yeah, with the auto summarize feature, basically pops in whatever has been mapped against each code in the codes that you want to show up in the framework against the case you want to show up, basically. I can see that if I right click, there is like, oh, there was, but now there isn't anymore. There was a paste function as well, and I could see that my the code kind of pop up multiple times. Like, I don't know what I did, but like, basically, I just wanted to understand the number one thing that we need to really learn in this one is really use the auto summarize
Yes.
function.
Yep.
Not knowing
Not knowing what happened on your version.
Yeah.
I would be, yes. You can change the view of it. So, I mean, that might have been, but yeah, the main thing is to create the framework matrix and then click auto summarize, and that'll pop in all of the codes.
And then export. Yeah.
And then you can right click and you can export it as an Excel file or a text file or anything like that. You weirdly can't export it as a CSV file, which is fine. It's fine. It irks me a little bit, but it's all right.
That's good. Thank you.
Yeah. Does anyone else have any other questions? Okay, cool. What I might do is, it's 10:50, so I do have time to talk about some of the maps. I don't have time to talk about them in all of the detail, but I'll talk about the one that is the most relevant for what we've been working on today in terms of the broad idea of this third session is about note-taking, it's about project management, it's about sharing some results without going into some of the more complex computational features of NVivo. So I'm going to show you the map that best maps onto that kind of a framework that we've been working on today. And so to create a map, we're going to go into the Explore area, and there's a little maps drop-down menu. Now, if you're on the Mac version, there's only a mind map and a concept map. You don't get access to the project map. That's fine. It's not the end of the world. And we're going to click on the concept map today. And I'm going to name it Concept Map 1. And I'll show you what it can do. And so the concept map gives you this nice little open workspace here where you can drag in these shapes as if it was sort of like a little word, like clip art or paint or something. If you double click on any of the shapes, you can start to write. And oh, my cat's got the zoomies. She's just freaked out and run into a cupboard. So cute. All right, Alex, you've only got 9 minutes left. It's no time to focus on this. So you can drag in some shapes. You can drag in a little person shape. You can change the color of the shape if you like. You can change, just little like things like this. And one of the other things that you can do is you can then drag in items from your project, and you can drag in codes, and you can drag in codes like this, and they kind of just float around for a little bit. And what you can then do is if you change from this little pointer mode to this little connector mode, you can start to sort of connect these things up, and you can then start to, and I'll show you why any of this would be useful in a little bit. But one of the things that you might do in ethnographic work is you might come up with a like a persona for someone. Like personas are quite useful. You get the more colors thing, you can give them lots of wacky colors. And so you might create personas in ethnography, like profiles of like a general characteristic of the communities or the people that you've been talking to. And you can use this to structure a provisional part. You might say, okay, this is going to show up in like chapter 1 of my thesis. This is going to be my case study. I'm going to be using Barbara's interview, and maybe I'll use Dorothy's interview as well, to sort of explore this persona. This persona, I think, addresses the first research question of my thesis, and I think like the key code here for this thing is going to be my family history code. And you've got this sort of little visualization. You might think, okay, Alex, like whatever, that's kind of dull. But one of the things that you can do with this is if you double click on anything, it will open up the item that you're looking at. So you can double click on Dorothy and you can have Dorothy's interview open up and things like that. And why is that useful? Well, this is really useful in a couple of different contexts. The first one, and I've used this all the time in my thesis, and I've used this as a collaborator. It's really good at explaining your project to people if you need to. And so what you might have is you can have and say, look, I've got like data set 1 and I've got data set 2, and you can sort of go through and explain your project in quite a visual way, which can be a really engaging way of showing people how your project kind of fits together, and then being able to then show them different bits and pieces of your project and how you think that it's going to work as an overall, piece of design, as an overall study. You provide a little bit more detail and things like this. And then when they ask, okay, could we have a look at some of the data in that? You can say, yes, here's Barbara's interview. Here are some of the, I think that this data set 1 is primarily trying to address this research question here, and it's trying to address this research question through, I think, these themes that I've identified. You can open up these themes. It's a really nice way of being able to do a visual explanation of your project, which I think is really helpful in qualitative work, because it can be easy to kind of get lost in the reads, in the fields or whatever, and being able to then share it with someone. And one of the things that I kind of recommend doing, I don't follow this myself. I'm really good at giving advice that I don't follow all the time. But one of the things I would recommend doing is doing this and trying to explain the state of your project maybe once a month, once every 2 months. Like create a concept map and say, this is how my project is looking at 3 months in, and then here's it 6 months later, like, and keeping track of those and seeing how the relationship between your codes, maybe the structure of your chapter, how that changes. But I find this a very, very useful visual aid for talking through the decisions that I've been making throughout my project and how I think different aspects of my project fit together. That's the concept map. And because it's 10:56, I won't give you any time to play with that. If you want to, you can do it after class. You can ask me about it. But they are stored once you've created them. They're stored in this visualizations area in this little maps folder. And I think they, on top of the framework matrix, on top of the annotations, and on top of the memos, I think that's a really nice kind of package of tools and functions to be able to keep track of your research project over the course and over the life cycle of doing your research. That's what I wanted to show off today. So there's a little bit of extra stuff on maps. If you wanted to read about that, you can access the recording. You could always email me and ask for the slide decks as well, with a bit of ideas about what I use all of the different maps for. But we'll wrap up today. So there's another feedback link. I ask for feedback every time. I think it's good because if I ask for it only at the end of the course, then I tend to just get feedback about the last session rather than throughout. So please do fill that in. Next time, so I think it's next Wednesday and then Thursday. On Wednesday, we're going to be looking at queries, which is where we start to look at a lot of NVivo's computational features. And on Thursday, I think, we're going to start looking at visualizations as well, which are really interesting. So we've got lots of things to look about and lots of things to look forward to. In the meantime, in the week between now and then, have a play around with some of the features. Feel free to send me an email if you want to get started on your own projects and let me know what's working and what isn't. That's a really good idea. Hopefully today we know how to create those linked and unlinked memos, how to write some annotations, how to create that framework matrix, which I love. I just had to put it in. And then we had a little bit of a play around with the concept map, not the project or the mind map. And if you want to, I don't actually have a list for the slides and videos. I'm not that technically proficient. You'll need to just send me a little email here, and I can send those through. And then after the whole training course, I'll send you a link to our Slack community, and that also has access to all of the old slides and videos as well. So just send me an email after class, and I'll send through all of the recordings and slides if you like. So thank you very much. I do have a link to the Slack thing there if you want to join up a little bit ahead of time. and have a little look around on what's there. I might actually put that link in now. You do need to sign up with your university credentials, but in the week between now and the next training, it's probably not a bad idea if you have any questions to ask them in there. I'll pop that link in. And if you need to sign up for the next session, if you haven't, I believe I'll pop that link in too. But yes, have an absolutely wonderful day. I'm sorry the weather's terrible. I'm not responsible for it, but you know, it was really lovely yesterday. If you have any questions, please do feel free to ask. And if you watched the recording, I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much, Alex. Sorry, I was talking.